Good afternoon, one and all. Myself, Sampatardi, MPC student, as like all of you here. And today's topic of our discussion is advanced social psychology, and it is Unit 1 of Block 1. So, the first unit of Block 1 is nature and concept of social psychology and social psychology related other disciplines. These are the contents, so you can see wherever I bolded, this is the main heading or main content, and these are the sub contents. So let's go through one by one. In the introduction, we have to understand the nature and concept of social psychology. Social psychology is a scientific in nature, or we are going to discuss how social psychology is viewed as a scientific domain of discipline. Then social psychology studies the experience and behavior of individuals. So how social psychology and its studies are understanding the experience and behavior of an individual, and causes of social psychology and thoughts, scope of social psychology. Then after that, we have to discuss about the historical perspectives, or how this modern social psychology as a new domain is emerged. So here we have to understand social thoughts before the advent of social science. Then second stage of development. Then social psychology emerges as we discussed later before that, how I told, emerges as a discipline. Then people psychology, mass psychology, first book of social psychology, the beginning of experimental research in social psychology, middle range theories, and they gave historical developments in a summary table form in the textbook. So I just copy paste this content here, so we can go to the next slide. The social psychology and other disciplines, mainly they are looking on the way of analysis, how understanding and analyzing social psychology as a new discipline. So in the mainly of three ways they are analyzing. One is societal level analysis, individual level, intrapersonal level, and the amalgamation of social psychology and psychology to get a new discipline. Then interdisciplinary versus interdisciplinary approaches of social psychology. Here we have to understand the different domains under the same discipline, that is sociology, social psychology and anthropology. So we have to understand and compare these domains. So these are the main contents of our today's presentation. So prior to our studies, we have to understand why we are studying this subject, or what is the importance of a new knowledge of domain social psychology. The study of social psychology enable us to understand dynamics of human behavior. So human behavior is always changing, it's a dynamic in nature. In social situations, the people changes their behavior in different social or cultural or in different environmental situations. So this is the main reason for the development of such a domain, of a new domain of social psychology, how people behave in a new or novel social situations. So what affect the situations, or what is the effect of situation on people's behavior, and how this situation is affected by the or influence of a person or an individual. So I will read it again. The study of social psychology enable us to understand the dynamics of human behavior in social situations, and what effect do situations exert on individuals, and in what way are these situations get changed by the behavior of individuals. So both are there, how person or an individual is influencing a group, or how a group is changing the behavior of a, or a society is changing the behavior of a individual or a person. So the particular need of this discipline have increased by the increasing demand of efficient management in different industries such as health, education, mass communication, and even lot of social events or issues such as struggling against anti-social behavior, public service, sports, etc. So this is the importance of this particular study or domain. So now we are coming to our definition of social psychology. There are a lot of many explanation and definition in this domain of social psychology. Mainly we are looking on two the siblings, that is Floyd Allport and Gordon W. Allport. So they are, if you are asking about Floyd Allport, he is considered as a founder of experimental social psychology, and he's a theoretical and emphasizing on experimental point of view. But however, the Godwin W. Allport is an American psychologist. Yes, they are siblings. So there he was actually like a behaviorist, or he was in a personality study. He's working on more on observing how people and how their personality are converting or molding according to different stimuli. So let's look on their definitions. F. Allport, that is Floyd Allport, in 1924 defined social psychology as a scientific study of experience and behavior of individual. Scientific study of experience and behavior of individual in connection to. So experience and behavior of an individual in relation to individuals, groups and culture. Understand? The scientific study of experience and behavior of an individual in relation to other individuals, groups and culture. So similarly, the G.W. Allport in 1968 stated that social psychology is a discipline that attempt to understand and explain how thoughts feel influenced by actual, imagined and implied presence of others. So here G.W. Allport is trying to say about in a behavioral perspective, or how people and their behavior is changing. Behavior, thoughts or feeling. In one word I am using, behavior is changing. Influence of might be an actual stimuli. So we can get scared if you see original dog, or something you scare, might be a snake or something, or aggressive people like how Albert Bandura stated. So we are having a tendency to copy the behavior of others, of actual stimuli or imagined stimuli. So they can ask you to imagine a situation, and they can understand your behavior, or examine your behavior, how your behavior is changing when you are when you imagine some social situations or conditions, or implied presence. So it is not direct, so there is an implied presence of others. So if you can imagine, or it can be a direct or a real situation. So this is the definition of Gordon Allport. I will read it again. Social psychology is a discipline that attempts to understand and explain how thoughts, feelings and behavior of an individual are influenced by the actual, imagined or implied presence of others. So let's go to the next slide. So what we understand so far is the definition of social psychology, that is a scientific domain of study which give experience, and we understand the behavior and experience of individuals, group, or which is influenced by other individual, group and culture, that throw light up the nature of this new discipline, that is socio-psychology. So socio-psychology is a scientific study for understanding experience and behavior of an individual through the influence of other individual, group and culture, and through the light upon this new domain. Okay, so let's go. Social psychology, we are now looking on each of these aspects, mainly scientific domain of study, how it is experiencing, for individual, and how this is experiencing the group, and how what is the influence of culture, and vice versa. So we will go through this one by one. So first we will discuss about the social psychology as a scientific domain of study. The difference lies in the approach that social psychologists adopt. It adopts a scientific method. So here, why it is called as a scientific domain of, or a scientific discipline? Mainly here, whatever data collection or whatever research, whatever studies they are doing is a systematized process. Mainly there are three steps according to McDavid and Hariri in 1994 in their paper they are cited. However, there are lot of many reasons. Mainly their work is based on scientific research, the study of social psychology research, and their approaches are based on scientific studies. That is what their procedure is scientific, their study is scientific. That is what this discipline is also a scientific in nature. Let's see the collection of data, carefully made observation. So they are collecting the data scientifically, they are having a careful observational methods, they are gathering information in a step by step process, like all the scientific domain like mathematics, engineering, physics and all. These people are also collecting a systematic way of data collection. These people also having, so they are having a integrated ordered integration of this observation. They are having a ordered integration of collected observation and statement and general principles. So their data collection, carefully they are collecting the data, and it is in a systematic and scientific way, and they are ordering the integrating the data in a scientific way, and the utilization of these general principles to predict the future observation. So they are predicting the future, or future observations are based on scientific way of studies or research. This is the main reason why this domain is also taken as a scientific domain of study. This is I have taken from the page number 7 of unit number 1 of block 1 of our study material. Let's go again here. So another main reason is, this is not from our textbook but from this research article of Golden G. Alport. I have gone through in the 1985 paper for this presentation. So the scientific study is mainly, if you are asking what is a scientific study, it should be empirical, systematized study and searching general principles, and giving a positive criticism on the topic. So if you are looking on any research articles or any research papers or research content, you can see it is an empirical in nature. Empirical means is experimental, or it is digging out the truth, finding the truth, and in a systematic way. And after finding out the truth, they are trying to generalize the truth and giving positive criticism, not to drag down anyone, but to support the people and support the research domain they are criticizing. So there it is going through a systematic peer review process, or a blind peer review process, and it is stated as a piece of evident truth. So social and rational or subjective and objective way, so they are presenting their facts. So it is not on a subjective, they are giving objective facts and truths of the social and rational way they are presenting their studies. So if you are asking about social psychology as a scientific study, there are three main aspects. One is social thinking is the one thing, and second one is social influence, and the third part is social relationship. These are the three main domains where social research is going on. One is social thinking, and social influence, and social relationship. So social thinking, how people perceive ourselves and others, and social influence is how culture or how other external things are influencing society and people. So one by one we can see So social thinking, how we perceive ourselves and others. So this is an individual or a person centered approach. So social thinking is based on individual, how we perceive ourselves and others, what we believe, is it true or not, judgment we are maybe what we make, and our attitude. So this is a person centered approach. Here, how this personal approach is influenced by societal norms. Societal norms means might be social, cultural, or political pressures, or group and people pressure. Different things are there. So this is a group or social centered thing. Here again, how these two are related. So can be lot of this is, you can see, aggressive, intimacy. So this is emotional kind of thing. So how we are feeling to helping others, or how people aggressive behavior of a person affect a society or a group. These are the main domains of research in social psychology in a systematic way, and that is why this is called, or social psychology is called, a scientific domain of research and studies. So if you are asking about the step by step procedure, it's already told. I'm not going to explain in more detail, but let's see step by step. Step one is we are understanding, selecting a topic of study. Then after collecting the topic or selecting the topic, we will do a do a literature review. So literature review, we will collect lot of secondary data, might be books, research articles, different materials we will collect. Then we will read it and we will understand the gap. Then we will assume we will find our issue and we will assume our hypothesis. Then we will select the research method, might be the previously done or a novel method, or different methods which will be or which should be a scientific methodology we will adopt for our research. It can be a lab experiment, it can be a social kind of experiment by data collection using questionnaire, interview, whatever that method we will fix. Then we will collect the data, analyze the data. We can get two kinds of data, might be a qualitative or a quantitative data. Qualitative data we will use QDL method, qualitative data analysis QDL method, QDA methods, or if for statistics we will use statistical analysis or mathematical analysis. Then we will report the data in a systematic way set by the report should be as per the according to the journal articles or whatever said by the journals, whichever we are going to publish the article. So these 7 steps are there for all the scientific domain of studies. So this study is also, or this domain of psychology, that is social psychology, is also having or following the same method of research. That is what this is also a scientific domain of research. So coming to the next portion, that is social psychology study the experience and behavior of individual. So how the experience and behavior of individual is influenced by society, or influenced how a person's behavior is changed or varies based on their environment in a broader sense. Kurt Levin's 1951, there is a famous formula of Levin's, that is B is equal to FPE, that is behavior is the function of person and environment. P stands for person, E stands for environment. So behavior of a person is a function of behavior is the function of person and individual. Person we can explain with detail, that is a psychology or cognitive and affective factors of a person is P, and E is environment, which contains social and cultural, political and different variables. So we can see as a person centered, and environment is there, and society and culture is there, which provide the total or behavior of a person. So behavior is the output of psychological and environmental factors. Social stimuli situation has some importance capacities to change the non-social stimuli of the. This is actually Mac David and their collaborators. They are explaining that the same thing in detail. So individual here is a center of this system, the social psychological system, where individual themselves or person themselves are responding to the environment. So he is a respondent, as well as this individual is creating this political and social situations. So here this individual have two role, that is one is a respondent role and other one is a creator of social situation. So again I am reminding, so behavior is a function of psychological or person and environmental factors. Here we have to think about one more, we have to understand one more thing, that is the behavior. This already the environment we are explained here, mainly social, cultural, political, different environmental stimulus are there in our day-to-day life what we are experiencing. And while we are thinking about the behavior, we have to understand there are two types of behavior we can see in a person. That is, one is which is not mentioned in anywhere in our this module or this unit, but we have to understand. It's very important to understand this as overt behavior and covert behavior. So overt behavior is nothing than which is we shown directly or openly, which is explicit in our feelings and expression. How explicit means, which is openly seen, we can whatever we can easily understand and seen in our shown in our behavior or expressions. So overt is an adjective that describes something done shown openly. So opposite of overt is covert behavior, which we cannot read, we cannot see and understand. So something I will explain here with the example. So different physical actions. So if you tell me a good word, I am giving shake hand. If I'm not feeling good with you, I walk away from you. So these are the different examples of physical actions. So somebody is hitting someone, or if you are talking to somebody, your modulation, that is giving a physical action which can easily read. So facial expression, my gestures, postures, physical appearance, all these are my overt behavior. And covert behavior is my mental processing, listening, dreaming, so thinking. All these are coming under covert behavior, which is not openly displayed by a person, but it is the output of. So overt behavior, the physical action, is the output of a covert behavior. For example, I am trying to demonstrate, if one person see another person accidentally, they are thinking who is this, and later you can see their physical action. So coming to the next slide. So cause of social behavior and thoughts. The following 5 factors affect the social interaction and have been the most studied by Baron and Byron in 1995. So they are talking about the main 5 factors. The one is the action and characteristics of others. So how others are affecting these people. The basic cognitive process, mainly memory, reasoning, beliefs, ideas, judgment about others. So how people think about others, that is the main thing. So basic cognitive process about memory, reasoning, beliefs, judgment about others. Ecological variable. So but first one is basic cognitive process, second one is ecological, that is environment, that is direct and indirect effect of physical environment. Mainly how this environment or surrounding affect people, and how this directly and indirectly affecting people and their behavior, that is ecological variable. Then third one, that is cultural context. So cultural norms, membership in various groups, might be membership in a cultural or a religious group or in some professional bodies. So how these cultural norms or the culture of a system of, like for example, I am working in an office, and in each in there we have a culture to greet everybody, and to thank if somebody is giving a pen or something. So that is a cultural norm, so we have to follow. Even if I don't like to follow, I am supposed to follow if I have to be in that cultural group. So that is a cultural context. Then biological context can be genetic, inherent something which is already there in my from my birth, that is inherent, or something biological can be my physical body or physiological factors. So let's see again these 5 factors. One is action and characteristics of others, basic cognitive process, ecological variable, cultural context, and biological aspects. So these are the main 5 factors affect social interaction of a individual. So far what we understand is we have 3 component. One is a environmental component, another one is a psychological component of a person, and main another component is cultural component. So all these are there, which is molding the person and their behavior in particular social or cultural or political situations. So scopes of social psychology is the next thing what we have to understand. Here they are underlining mainly 3 main components or main scopes. So social psychology attempt to understand the relationship between mind, groups, and behavior in generally 3 different ways. So again, mind, groups, and behavior. So how mind means, we can remember just how one person or one individual tries to see how thoughts, feelings, and behavior of an individual, so thoughts, feelings, and behavior of an individual influenced by the actual, imagined, and implied presence of others. You remember this explanation or definition by Alport, Golden Alport. Yes. Again I will read it. So thoughts, feelings, and behavior of a person influenced by others, or actual or imagined or implied presence of others. This is the mainly highlighted on the first concept. So how people and their behavior is changed by the social perception, social interaction, and how others or other objects or other social conditions, environment is changing the people. That is the first one. Second one is how a person can, or one individual is influencing a group or society. For example, I am a leader of a political party, I can influence lot many people, or I am a religious leader, I am influencing lot of people. So even not only an individual is influenced by the society, but individuals can also influence a group or a society. So second one is tries to understand the influence that individual perceptions and behavior have upon behavior of group. So individuals influence or perception that behavior upon a behavior of the group. This include looking at things like group productivity in the workplace, group decision making. It looks the question like what are the reasons behind conformity, diversity, etc. Then so first one is how person changes the behavior because of a society. Second one is one person can change the society. Third one is one group to another group. So here the social psychologist tries to understand group themselves as a behavioral entity and the relationships and influence that group has upon another group. So here one group can change the total behavior of another group. For example, if one group is seeing that one group of students, they are seeing that if they are going for tuition and they are getting more marks, then another batch of the students may also copy the same behavior, and they can also go for tuition or some go behind some study materials. So another whatever examples here it is given is question like what makes some groups hostile to another and other neutral or civil. Do group behave in different way than an individual outside the group? In European textbooks there is also fourth level called ideological level. So here we have only 3 level, but in European books they are having ideological level. It studies the societal force that influence the human psyche. Societal force might be the cultural force or religious force, political force, and different ideological forces. However, we have to keep in mind this is the second part of the social or a group to group influence. Then coming to the second part of this unit, we are now on almost the 50% part of percentage of the chapter is over. The second part of this unit is historical developments and the emergence of modern psychology. While we are discussing about the historical emergence, we have to come from the classical period or from the Greek and Egyptian period of our thoughts, that is mainly the Hellenistic, that is Greek. So we have to think about two main people, that is Plato and Aristotle. So one is the Platonic thoughts and other one is Aristotelian thoughts. So Platonic thoughts emphasize the primary state of the individual who had educated to become truly social. So here to simplify this concept, I have referred from encyclopedia, and I'm putting a table here, so this can be easily remember and recall for us. So the philosophy of Plato is a theoretical and more abstract in nature. So philosophy of Plato is more abstract, and he's a, you see him looking like a philosopher. So he's a philosopher and abstract in nature. But this new generation man, he is practical, more in practical. So Aristotle is looking on experimental and practical approaches of social psychology. Here Plato thinking about his ideology is like that happiness depend upon society. Happiness is depending upon the society. So people feel like to join new societal groups and to become more happy or to get more pleasure. So happiness depend upon the society. Man's ultimate aim to become one with that group or that universe. And here happiness is depend upon individual. So it is individual centered, and Plato is social centered, but Aristotle is individual centered. The man's ultimate aim to achieve excellence and become a master. So here this person is telling about, Aristotle is telling about man's ultimate aims to achieve excellence and become a master. How to become an excellent master? Only through hard work, only through continuous effort and hard work one can get knowledge or become a master. Here this person or Plato is thinking that it is an inherent nature or in wisdom we are getting the knowledge, or happiness is inherently, which is already we from our birth we are getting that happiness or wisdom. But wisdom is virtues of goal one could achieve with effort and diligence. It can be not virtue that we cannot get knowledge without any hard work or effort. That is what Aristotle is talking about. And one more thing that interesting thing is soul is the guide of body and mind. According to Plato, there is a soul and which guide body and mind. So body and mind is working based on soul, and it is further divided into three. So this process is again he is dividing this process into three, that is emotion, desire and reason. However, according to Aristotle, soul is in the form of living thing. So wherever the body and mind body is there, soul is everywhere. Soul is the form of living thing, was inseparable from the body. We cannot separate the soul and body. That is what Aristotle thought is about. So in modern times, these two traditional thoughts, that is Plato's theory and Aristotelian philosophy of social thought, has been known as social approach or social centered approach and individual centered approach. So this person Plato is social centered and Aristotelian is individual centered. So I hope the basic foundation of history and development of modern social psychology is clear for our group. So I'm going to the next slide, that is individualism in psychology. Here, social psychology from its beginning has defined as a study of individual in the social context. So here we are the prime important is for the individualism. Social psychology is began that it has defined as a scientific study of individual in social context. Individualism has been inherent property of the discipline. Individualistic doctrine says that the explanation of individual social phenomena are to be rejected unless they are expressed in terms of individual. So the social psychology should be individual centered. That is what the individualism philosophy of psychology is talking about. Social psychology, otherwise this philosophies should be rejected. So there are two forms of socio-psychological thoughts. So here there is a spelling mistake. So one is hedonism and utilitarianism. First one is they are talking about, that is hedonism. Theories of hedonism is talking about people act in order to secure and maintain pleasure. So why people is acting, they are acting to get pleasure and maintain that pleasure and to avoid any kind of pain or to reduce their pain. So but utilitarianism, the doctrines of utilitarianism is telling that or advocates to pursue the greatest happiness of greatest number. So here they are thinking that there is happiness is already there, is an inherent with us, and we are working to increase that or getting more number of happiness or getting more quantity of happiness. So this is the theories. So already the discussed about the Plato and Aristotle theory. This is based on the same principles. For most modern theories of conditioning and motivation, we already discussed I think we already discussed about condition. I was not there in the previous discussions, sorry for that. However, there is conditioning theory, just like Pavlov or classical and operant conditions, and you may learn about Tolman, behavioralist like social theories like Albert Bandura, and all these people are working on conditioning theory and motivation. If you are showing food, then dog will get more salivated. So if this kind of theories, so if you are giving something, then rate is, if you are showing the their target, then rate will be motivated because of their target. And if you are giving some food or some kind of rewards, then they are getting motivated. That is conditioning theory. So the most modern theories of conditioning and motivation underlines the ideas of individual satisfaction, that is reinforcement, rewards, reducing of stress, dissonance, uncertainty, etc. are variations of pleasure and utility principles. So these are the foundation of the modern psychology and behavioral science. So utility and satisfaction are important constructs involved in many socio-psychological theories. So the most modern theories of conditioning and motivation underlines the ideas of individual satisfaction and utility satisfaction, an important construct of to involve many social psychology theories. Machiavelli and Thomas Hobbes, their concept of power and its role in social relationship written in social and psychological manners. Means the, if power is there, if in a society, if power is there, they can easily influence, or if a group having power, they can easily influence another group, or a person with a power can easily influence even a society. That is the basic concept. We might somebody if, read about public relationship or public policy books, then these are the basic foundation of a social mass movements. So coming to the two basic and important theories of social psychology, which is based on the power, which we were talking in the last slide. So in detail we are going to discuss that here. So one is field theory and another one is social exchange theory. So social exchange theory we can discuss first. Social exchange theory is based on cost benefit analysis. These people of social exchange theory, or researchers in social exchange theory, believes that there any relationship between two people, or person to person relationship, is created through a process of cost benefit analysis. For example, I am trying to cite here a image. In this cartoon or graphics, you can see two relationship. Here they are counting the cost. She is making something and they are enjoying the benefit of this cost after some time. So there is a cost, they are putting something, or they are um, donating something, or and they are getting some good happiness or good result. So this is the social exchange theory. So social exchange theory is a concept based on the notion that relationship between two people is created through the process of cost benefit analysis. What I am getting if I am having particular relation with a particular person. So the ultimate aim is nothing than happiness in life. Then second theory, here the field theory, which have a more wider perspective. This psychologists or these researchers are thinking that and explaining the pattern of interaction between individuals, or they are explaining and they are observing the pattern of interaction between the individuals as a totality of all, including the environment, surrounding, person and society. So they examine the pattern of interaction between individuals and a total field of environment. The concept first made its appearance in the psychology with a root of holistic perspective of Gestalt. So Gestalt means we are reading the totality of a object or a design or of an environment. So here these people are talking about only there is a cause and effect relationship, but here more holistic perspective. Here you can see this is the image they used in their field theory when Levin describing field theory. This is the image they used in their paper. Here they are talking about driving different emotional driving forces, their needs and environmental psychological impact, physiological different barriers they have to cross while keeping the relationship and maintaining the relationship. They have their life goals, different objectives. They are bounded by different people and different life space and their abilities, inabilities. All these are the factors to create and maintain human relationship. These are the two foundational theories, which is social influences theory. So here power or something or money have some impact, but here they are telling not only the power, there is all the factors have equal importance to create and maintain different person to person and social relationships. So coming to our next slide, that is the second stage of development, that is socio-psychological emerge as a new domain of study or a discipline of study. This process branching of the psychology as a separate discipline or social psychology as a separate discipline. Three movements are important to outline here. So we can discuss one by one. The requirement of concerning the solution of socio-psychological problem as discussed in the earlier first slide. So lot of problems are there in the industries, how to have an efficient and effective management, because people works in a group and in different domain, might be in communication, medicine and all what we discussed earlier. So requirements of concerning solution of different and various social psychological problems. And the second thing, the process involved the separation of this. Then one more main thing is the academics, we want to keep a different domain of study, so we have to separate what is sociology. So we have to understand where we have to make a border. Mainly if you are talking about the discipline domain changes in other fields, including all the philosophy, literature and all, we can see school of Athens in 16th 17th century, in Renaissance, Italian Renaissance period and all, we can refer more to understand all this concept of separation of new disciplines. Also in contemporary time or the modern time, also we are having new courses, new syllabus, and sometime like AI, artificial intelligence, and so now we are having different domains like interior architecture and all, might be a combination of different streams like architecture and fine arts combined to give a new discipline of interior architecture, or computer science and electronics, mechatronics, or mechanical and electronics, giving in a new branch of mechatronics in engineering. So similarly we have to have a separate branch of study. That process involves separation of social psychological problems within two parent disciplines, that is sociology and psychology. Finally describes the first form of independent sociological socio-psychological knowledge. Then in the middle of 19th century, the first form of social psychological theories that appear, three were more dominant or important terms or more important theories that we have to understand and discuss. One is people psychology, then mass psychology, and the theories of instinct or fast or instant social behavior, how people instantly behave in a community or a society. So these are the three, one, two, three main outlined thing or outlined moments which give an output of to formation of a new discipline of social psychology. So let's see one by one here, that is people psychology, mass psychology, and the other relationship between the psychology in the coming slides. So first one is people psychology. People psychology developed as one of the first form of socio-psychological theory in Germany in mid of 19th century. In 1895, journal People Psychology and Linguistics. So in 1895, there was a article published in 1859, Journal of People Psychology and Linguistics by Lassus and their collaborators. The title was Introductory Thoughts on People's Psychology. This is a paper published by Lassus and their lab mates. The introductory thoughts on people's psychology in the year 1859. This is considered as the first paper or first research article in the domain of people psychology or social psychology. The article expressed the idea that the main force of history is people. So people is the center, or individual is the center, or group of people is the center. So main force of history is people or spirit of whole. That is a spirit of whole is the gestalt, or it is the totality of people or their requirements is the main force of history of development of psychology, which can be seen in art. So all are cultural in context. So art, religion, language, myth, customs, etc. The task of socio-psychology was to perceive the psychological essence. To socio-psychology, the main task is to perceive the socio-psychological essence or spirit of people and discover the law. So to guide the people on the spiritual aspects. So the main important task is to perceive the psychological essence, to understand the psychological essence, or and guide the people, or create a law that guides the spiritual activity of the people in right way. That is the main idea or agenda of this introductory thought on people psychology article published in 1859 in the journal Psychology, People Psychology and Linguistics. This is happened in the mid of 19th century in German. So coming to the next thing, William Wundt proposed two parts of psychology, that is physiological psychology and people psychology. Physiological psychology, which they are talking about the physical, mainly physiological aspects, which is more on experimental in nature, might be the brain and the neurocircuit and the how people and their physiological aspects change their behavior is physiological psychology. People psychology is purely the psychological aspects, mainly anxiety, stress, and all whatever we are learning. These are people psychology. And experimentation is not used only for the study of higher mental process. So here, even this is experimental, everything cannot be done and proved using experimental in this time, but now it is possible to have different experimental tools are now there, but those time it was not possible to experiment, and it is not useful to study the higher mental process like thinking, language, and that is what there was a new domain of people psychology. For the area like language, myth, customs, and art, people psychology need to adopt the new methods. However, now in our labs or in modern days labs, there we have virtual reality and physiological device that can read the brain and their areas, which when some stimuli is shown, people and their mind and brain, they how they are changing, and all these things can be read using different modern tools in labs. So coming to the next portion, or the view of proposed by Wundt that are criticized by Vygotsky, and people psychology consider language, myth, custom, art, and religion object of the study. He called this as a clot on ideology or crystals. The task of psychology he proposed was not to study these crystals, but the solution for this thing. Vygotsky, he called this as a clot of ideology or crystals. He called it as a crystal. He called this myth, custom, art, and language and these concepts as a crystals. But according to him, this thing, these crystals are not to psychology proposed was not to study these crystals, but to solve the issues of these particular crystals. That is to myth or customs or art or religion, wherever people face psychological problems, we have to use, understand, and solve the problem of people. He proposed the thought of social psychology should study the mentally of collective personality. According to Vygotsky, psychologists or social psychologists should study the mentality of collective personality. So you have to understand the collective personality of a group, and we have to solve the problems of that collective personality, collective mental status. Vygotsky also suggested that human development results from dynamic interaction between individuals and society. Through this interaction, people learn gradually and continuously from their parents and teachers. However, this learning varies from one culture to the next culture. So there is a cultural impact is also there. So we are gradually learning, and this learning is happened as naturally, and this can be influenced by various factors like culture or social and different factors. Society does not just impact people, people also affect their society. These are the main things which they are highlighted in this concept of social psychological theories. He explored upon the idea of cultural history determined all mental process. So this one is an individual approach and another one is a collective approach. For example, Wundt is talking about an individual perspective. However, Vygotsky is talking about the collective approaches of social psychology. That is, here the person is important for Wundt, but for other person, it's a collective way of analysis. So coming to that collective mental process, that is collective concept of psychology or analysis of psychology. Now we are talking about the mass psychology. This theories emerged in France in later half of 19th century. The creator of mass psychology is lawyer Singly in 18 this year, and French psychologist Gustave Le Bon begins with Gabriel Trade's basic idea of role of irrational movements in social behavior and a role of intimation. For we can understand how the mass behavior is there. For like a strike and all in Kerala, we are observing this behavior. If one person is throwing a stone, then everybody will be doing the same against the police and other forces. According to Le Bon, any accumulation of people represented the idea of mass with the depersonalization and predominance of emotion over intelligence. So here we can see the predominance of emotion. The people will forget the reality and they will follow their emotion. That is the main basic foundation of mass or mob personality or mob psychology. So people will forget the reality or intelligence and they will follow their emotion. That is what we are seeing in our daily social media and other group psychology or mob psychology. If 5 students are trying to bunk the class, then all the people will have a tendency to bunk the class. So the general loss of intelligence and loss of sense of personal responsibility is the main negative side of mass psychology. So according to Le Bon, any accumulation of people represented the idea of mass with a depersonalization and the predominance of, so his main point is depersonalization and predominance of emotion over intelligence. So events like a mass movement in 19th and early century, rapid social economic changes due to the industrialization, urbanization were conducive to mass psychology, but like people psychology, it did not develop within the context of academic psychology. So here we have to understand a group or a massive or how people or how society is influencing the other society. So here you have to understand the collective way of learning or collective way of psychology or behavior, how people behave in a group and a mass. The next is the main content of our syllabus is the first textbook of psychology in 1908 is considered as the main important year in the area of social psychology, as an because it the social psychology become an independent domain in this year is considered to be the final emergence of social psychology as an independent scientific discipline. This year two books has been published with the using the title or the keyword of social psychology. One is an introduction to social psychology by William MacDonald Dougal, and other one is social psychology of social psychologist. Social psychology is the name of the book by social psychologist Edward A. Ross. Before these two works, in 1897, James Mark, his work is Social and Ethical Interpretation in Mental Development was published in New York, which can be considered the first systematic manual in social psychology. So first manual of social psychology was by James Mark Baldwin in 1897, which is in New York. So the other two books were by this William McDougall, and the book name of the book is Introduction to Social Psychology. The other one is a book titled Social Psychology by Edward A. Ross. According to E. A. Ross, social psychology deals with the uniformities in feeling. So, if people behave in a society in a similar way, there is a uniformity in the feeling, beliefs, violation, and their actions. The uniformities were to explained by the capacities to uh, imitate and suggest operations among the individuals collectively. So here the main word is collective analysis or collective explanation or collective understanding of behavior of individual and individuals as a group. McDougall's theory proposed that inborn instinct are there the cause of social behavior. This person is thinking that the social behavior is a innate tendency or it is inborn tendency. His view tendencies of imitation and suggestion are rooted in their biological in nature. That is what innate tendency. Imitation supposed to grow out a non-specific innate tendency, where the suggestion was stemmed from an innate to submit the prestigious person or symbol. That is another concept. Imitation is supposed to be grew out as a non-specific innate tendency. Imitation can be innate tendency for him, but for other researchers, this is not an innate tendency, whereas suggestion was being streamed from an instinct. So it is instantly what I am feeling, I am doing, but it is not an innate tendency. So recognition of instinct as the motive force behind the social behavior give importance to irrational and unconscious motive. So the recognition of instinct. So we have people have to recognize their instinct as a motive force behind the social behavior. They have to understand and why they are behaving like this, or why they are behaving in such a way in a social society, and give importance to the irrational unconscious motive. This is what the researchers are trying to understand, why people are trying to do or act in a particular way in a particular social condition in a irrational and unconscious motive. So this is coming to the middle age theories, specifically designed to apply in the areas of socio-psychological research. These theories are in a set of theories that are designed to apply in the areas of socio-psychological research. Middle range theory was first developed by Robert Merton. Theories that account for specific aspects of social behavior and not try to encompass all social life. These theories that account for specific aspect of social psychology, some only for the some specific aspects and not try to encompass all social life. So there is specific reasons and specific conditions they will be setting for this particular middle range theories. Social psychological theories tend to specific and focused from this time period. Social psychological, before they were generalizing the concept, but here they are telling about some specific context and they are telling the theories based on specific context, and they are focusing on the theories rather than the global and general views. At present, theories of middle range are most concrete concentrated around 4 trends. So these are the main 4 trends of middle range theories, which is more specific and focused in nature. One is behavioralism, psychoanalysis, cognitive, and interactionism. So one is behaviorism, how people behave in a particular situation, how society behave by the influence of people. Psychoanalysis, like a Freudian context and concepts. Cognitivism, how the brain and the neurosystem works and how it affects the people. And interactionism, how the interaction between the people and the group and culture changes the behavior of people and society. These are the main theories of social psychology. Now coming to one by one, this is actually given in the textbook. I just changed the format of that table and I am putting here. So here these are the main theories and these are the relationship to the psychological social psychological aspect. Psychometric theory, the individual in society. So here they are calling us homovalence, as a man as a homovalence, that man creator of the society rather than its product. These are the different concepts they are trying to say in these theories. And contribution to society: study of personality development and socialization, cross-cultural comparison of child ragging, child rearing, aggressive behavior, and different behavioral aspects they are here in the social psychological context they are telling. And here the current status in the social psychology, it is decreasing the significance of this context. While coming to the cognitive theories, the Homo sapiens, they are seeing man as a Homo sapiens, that is, society is represented in the man's experience as a part of his life space. The studies of attitude, values, language, thoughts, group dynamics, and all, and how their mind process and how their brain works, and all are we are discussing and studying in this area of contribution to the social psychology. And the current status, if you are looking, it is maintaining the stable significance. And while we are going to the behavioral, so I have one doubt, this increasing significance and maintaining, I don't know whether the book is typed, I don't know whether it should be coming here, then there is nothing will be coming. So I think this increasing significance will come here. If you are looking on your material given by IGNO, this increasing significance you can see under the cognitive factor, but I think it should be coming under behavioristic context. The homo mechanized, that is another, that is a reactive man. They are calling this they according to them, human being as a society provide a set of stimuli conditions and operate as a cue and reinforcing the behavior. Experimental and theoretical studies they are doing to increase more wisdom in the domain of social psychology. The study of socialization, social rewards, punishments, and all they are studying. Here significance is increasing according to researchers which I have contacted. So in the book it is, this thing is blank and you can see it here. However, these are interconnected. That is what according to researchers, these are interconnected, because according to the psychoanalytic theory, the mind and the part of the mind which is unknown, that is subconscious, and subconscious part of our mind is also can be read by the how people behave, that is behavioral approach, and that can be also read by the human brain and neuro connection, or how the people use language, their attitude, values, and all. So all these are interconnected in real life scenario, and which is also a main part of our psychological research. So social psychology and other discipline, which is the another main domain which we have to look on in the last part of this unit. This is in the broader term, the central task of social psychology is a systematic study of relationship between the individual and collective phenomena. Here, there are psychologists and researchers are trying to analyze this domain in three levels, mainly the individual level. And individual level means interpersonal level, how people think, how their thought process is, how their mind is working, that is individual or intrapersonal level of analysis. The daunting task of overlapping with the other social science, many scholarly field of study of behavior and social anthropological, and they are talking of different other domains of psychology. However, this is very important to understand. There are three level. Main is individual level, how I told, that is intrapersonal thoughts, feelings, and how one person himself thinking where he is placing in a mass society, where is my position in this society, where I have to stand, where is my position, how I can influence people. That is intrapersonal or individual level of analysis. The interpersonal, when people two people or two people discuss with each other and their thoughts. One person can influence other, and how another person influencing me. That kind of thought and that kind of analysis coming as interpersonal level of analysis. Amalgamation of sociology and psychology is the third, that is how society is influencing people, how people is influencing society. Both are studied in under this head of amalgamation of sociology and psychology to give a new domain of social psychology. From the social, this is actually given in our textbook. This I have taken the reference from other textbook, other material. Sorry for I forgot to give the citation, that's a mistake from my side, but this is from our MAPC book. From the social psychological point of view, social psychology is a study of mass phenomena of psych, the sociology of classes and large social group, elements of group mentality. This is what we are studying through social psychology. So sociology is the study of mass phenomena of psych, or psychology of a mass or a group. Psychological social psychology and sociological social psychology. So we can see social psychology in two perspectives. One is sociological psychology. This we are looking on a perspective of sociology, sociological social psychology and psychological social psychology. Here we are looking on the study of mass phenomena of psych, that is psychological social psychology. Then second one is psychological social psychology, where put the individual at the center and focus on the mental particularities of individual. How person is center, here society is center. So society center, here is individual centered approaches. Again, coming to the next slide, here we are discussing about the same context in another way, that is interdisciplinary versus intradisciplinary approaches of social psychology. Means in more detail we have to discuss, that is social psychological and sorry, this heading is wrong. Here we are talking about the interdisciplinary approaches. Sociological psychology and sociology, how these are related. Sociological psychology exchange free ideas and methods and models of sociology. Social psychology exchanges freely ideas, methods and models of sociology. That is the relation of, you can read that in that, I am just highlighting the main point here, and you can read that small paragraphs in that textbook given by your study materials given by university. Social psychology and anthropology. Anthropology, you know that the study of human race. So socio-psychology and anthropology is another domain. The main topic of investigation are primitive societies, cultural relativism, unity of human species, human diversity, human evolution. Social psychology can make a good use of or the theories of social psychology can be used to understand the cultural and societal aspects of particular primitive societies, cultures and some people. So this is very important for social psychology, is also a domain very important for anthropology students. Social psychology can make a good use of theories about culture, societies, which make assess the explanation of individual behavior in particular society. Then social psychology and sociolinguistics. Linguistics is a study of language and the way how language is evolved and how they are pronounced and the usage of language. The study of language contribute not only in the term of language behavior, but the rich data helps in the building theories. The field of sociolinguistics equally borrows theories from social psychology to draw inference about behavior from linguistics data. So these are the main theories. These are the main areas of which we have to learn in the first module of Unit 1 of social psychology. These are my reference. I have taken these reference from our MAPC book, but these are the other reference which I have taken. So some of them are research articles and one or two website is there. This is a website, remaining is some wave particles. So thank you very much for listening. Let's have a discussion, and thank you one and all.